how do you say Dylan Raiola is a starter without really saying it? Well, Rhule has done just that. Look, we've heard enough, we know enough, and we've seen enough football in Nebraska. Dylan Raiola is going to be the starting quarterback of the Nebraska football team, barring injuries or something unforeseen.
Something unforeseen. He'd have to report to camp, Sean. Like, I think he's listed about 6'3", 225, 220. He'd have to, if he reports to camp at 6'3", 260, and all of a sudden, somehow he's 6'1". He loses height. No, what I'm suggesting is no. I mean, if Dylan reports to camp and acquits himself well, he'll be the starting quarterback. He will do that, by the way. The reason I always speak with confidence about Dylan, you know the family. You know Dylan. You think Dylan's going to back off?
He's in that facility every day.
Yeah, he's not going to back off. I mean, he treats it like a resort. Like, I know this about the way Dylan approaches it. He sees the Nebraska expansive football facility as this like football resort.
It's like a Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah, it's like a Ritz-Carlton. He has all this technology and all this food. Thank you. Food, recovery equipment, weights. I mean, grade A, everything. He has all this to better himself and do what? Become an NFL quarterback.
And I'm guessing a line of people there that want to help him.
A line of people that want to help him. And make no mistake, Dylan wants to be an NFL quarterback. And he, God bless him, recognizes that he has that sort of talent. Dylan Raiola is not backing off. I mean, and Sean, you wouldn't say that about every guy you come across. Sometimes you don't know on certain guys. You don't. You know this.
Well, you think about, okay, let's just use a bad example, but Harrison Beck. When he came to Nebraska in 2005, I think at that time you thought it was going to be maybe like a Dylan Raiola now. Mm-hmm. But we learned pretty quickly he wasn't ready to be the starter.
We've seen it a lot.
And thank goodness they had Zach Taylor at that point.
Right. We've seen it a lot, not just quarterbacks. I mean, you see it.
Cody Green I think we thought he was really, really good. Mm-hmm. And I think you learned he was limited.
Kurt Dukes is a good example. Kurt Dukes.
Not ready.
Back in the day, they needed him to be ready because they had some injuries. He wasn't ready.
Adrian Martinez, you could argue, was really the only other true freshman that was ready.
Right. Adrian came in because he was so.
And we're not talking like Tommy Frazier was obviously ready too, but we're talking like more in the last 20 years.
Adrian's a great example, and he has it's actually an interesting conversation. Adrian has the intangibles that Dylan has, just doesn't have the talent. Adrian's really good too, but think about what I just said.
Well, he had enough talent to be the MVP of the UFL Football League.
I know. Think about what I'm saying though. Adrian's really good, but would you say he possesses the talent that Dylan does?
Not the arm talent.
No way.
And
no, it's just not arm talent. Do you think he has the overall football acumen? You think he reads defenses like Dylan does? Or do you think he did when he got here? Do you think he was as prepared for everything as Dylan is? I don't. And Adrian was well prepared.
And Adrian missed his senior year of high school.
Yeah. But he was, he was modern. He was in that modern age of quarterbacks that get really prepared because they're brought up so early with starting in college in mind.
The training though that Martinez had in high school, I'm just going to go on a limb and say it's nowhere near the level that Dylan Raiola has received the last 4 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just want to simplify the conversation, Adrian didn't have the luxury of having an uncle who's an offensive line coach, who has been an offensive line coach in the NFL and now is the offensive line coach for Nebraska. And Adrian didn't have the luxury of having a father who played 14 years in the NFL. So as a center. So yeah.
And think about Dylan's high school coaches. He played for John Kitna and Burleson, Texas.
Good point.
Then he went to Chandler, a top national 25 program. And then he went to Buford, Georgia. So he's played for 3 different offenses, 3 different high-level head coach programs. So just what he's seen and had to absorb, there's no other high school player in the country that can say that.
Right.
To go from Dallas to Phoenix to Georgia. And look, you could say, well, that's not look, he did it.
Oh yeah. Some will use it as a negative, but you can spin that conversation.
No,
in a
I mean, I think
positive
it's
way.
actually probably helped his football knowledge to have to learn and pick up systems.
I think the fans are starting to understand that him reading defenses on Saturdays, getting protections right, understanding what's in front of him, that's not going to be a problem. You heard Taglialoa, the elder Taglialoa. I can't say it.
Tungavailoa,
yeah. You heard his father say that to us in Hawaii.
Galu.
Yeah, Galu. Tungalia, I can't say it. But anyway.
Tungavailoa.
Yeah, thank you. Really frustrating, Sean.
Too many chips and queso at.
No, it wasn't too many chips and queso. But he said, no, Dylan reads really well. So I'm not worried about that.
Well, and just when you see him like rolling out with his eyes down the field, a lot of quarterbacks, when they roll out, they're thinking run or just, I mean, he's looking down the field when he's rolling out, and he can make that. He's got the rare arm talent where when he's kind of on the run, he can still put zip on the ball.
The unknown, while we're talking about Dylan, is how will he respond when he goes out on that field for the Colorado game, and it's a frenzy. I mean, it'll be a frenzy.
And they blitz 7 people at him.
Right. Now, how you don't know. Now, that's one unknown. You don't know how he'll handle the pressure. Or Sean, here's some pressure. We don't think about stuff like this enough. How about Colorado gets up 21 to zip? All right. How about Colorado gets up 17 to zip? And you know how the stadium gets, right? It gets tense. You can hear people talking. You can literally, as a player, hear people in the stands talking. How would he handle that? If Colorado happens to get a jump, and then now there's pressure, real pressure.
When Memorial Stadium's real quiet, you can actually hear like the planes that fly above there with like you're just sitting there and you just hear this 100%, and like that it's so quiet that you can hear the planes that fly above that's when
great point.
That's the noise when it's really dead in there. You're like, oh God, you can hear the plane even. It's so quiet right now.
Yeah. So how does he respond to that? They're going to be down, Sean, not necessarily against Colorado, but there's going to be games.
Indiana is going to be a good offensive team. Rutgers is going to make it a street fight.
Yeah, when Nebraska's in those street fights, then you find out about
Purdue
that.
On the road. They're going to have good offense.
Yeah.
Illinois is not just going to give it. I mean, those 4 games in the Big Ten to start, they looked favorable, but they're still going to be probably 1-score games.
Thank you for saying that. So
let's not kid ourselves. Every one of these games that Nebraska wins, in most cases in the Big Ten, are usually going to be 1-score games.
I've said it before. I say it often because I've seen it often. That position, it can feel like the world is crashing down all around you on Saturday, and you have to be able to respond. And I don't know how he will. That's the one thing I wonder about.